A new season of Marvel Snap is here, starting tomorrow, with some really stellar art, as you can see with this background behind me. The cards, I'm not so convinced are as stellar. We'll take a look at all the cards in addition to all the other things you need to know about this new Guardians of the Galaxy season starting tomorrow, and we're going to continue to do it ASMR style like this, because my daughter's asleep in the other room, and I don't want to wake her up. Let's get started with a Season Pass card, which is Star Lord, Master of the Sun, who's a 4/6 with an on-reveal ability. The next turn, you get +1 energy for each turn you've ended with unspent energy. This gains that much power. It also, just keep in mind, it does include the turn that you play it. So as an example, let's say you've played perfectly on curve, except for on turn 5. So on you used all your energy every turn, but on turn 5, you only play Star Lord, Master of the Sun. So you've ended one turn with unspent energy. So you get +1 energy on turn 6, and Star Lord gains 1 power. Now, if you play Star Lord on 5 and you've skipped energy on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's 5 turns. You get +5 energy, and he gains +5 power as a 4/10, which is pretty cool. Really, really cool card. Has some pretty high potential. Obviously, the synergies that people are thinking of right away is in high Evo. That's where I'm excited to try the card. I've never been around for the high Evo hype. I'm excited to see it coming back with this card. It's kind of interesting the more I think about it, because it's not the quantity of energy you skip. It's only if you've skipped energy. It's each turn. So realistically, you're playing this on 5. At most, you're going to get +5 energy from him, unless somehow you play this on 6 if you have a magic or something. But it's +5 energy and +5 power. That's not bad. Realistically, I think it's going to be more likely +4 energy, because, either turn 1 or turn 2 or turn 3 or turn 4. Okay, I could have just said any of the previous turns before this, you're likely to spend all of your energy. And so, even if you end up skipping all of turn 2, that only counts as 1 turn. Anyway, I think it has some high potential for the card. Really interested, and I think it's among the best and most interesting being released this season, and probably the card that will stick around the longest, if that makes sense. Like some of these other cards, I think either aren't going to see play at all, or we'll see play depending on the meta, or we'll see play during the release because people will be interested doing cool things with it, but then the card will disappear. Or I feel like Star Lord, Master of the Sun has the potential to stick around. That might just only be in high Evo, but we could see, and I'm curious to see what other decks he ends up in besides just high Evo. But cool card. I personally am going to give him 4 out of 5 galaxies this season. It's not like the greatest thing ever, but it's pretty good what it can do. There's a part of me that thinks this is only a 3 because his application might be really, really narrow in high Evo alone. But I don't know. Getting extra energy is a good thing. Cards like Luna Snow are very good. Cards like Hope Summers are very good. The interesting thing with Luna Snow is that you're also giving energy to your opponent, so it comes with a downside. Despite the downside, people still play the card and have a lot of success with it. Star-Lord's downside is that you're skipping energy, so you're kind of paying for it, so to speak, by skipping. But there's decks that want you to skip that energy, like High Evo, so I'm excited to see what this card can do. But 4 out of 5 galaxies for me, which that takes us to the Super Premium Season Pass, or a card that you can unlock in the Seasonal Series 5-pack. You cannot unlock him in the rotation. He's not available to purchase for tokens outright. He will only be in the pack until the later seasons. And this is Magus or Magus. I'm not even sure how to say this. I think Magus. He's an activate card, a 3/5, whose ability is when you activate him, he will copy the text of a character in your deck with cost equal to your unspent energy without using its on reveal. So, important things with this clarification, and this clarification of without using its on reveal, is that Magus will not work with activate cards, and he will not work with on reveal cards. If he copies an on reveal, it will not on reveal. If he copies an activate, he's already been activated. You can't activate and activate. So the only targets that Magus is going to have is ongoing, end of turn, or just like text-based cards. As an example, just kidding, never mind, I was going to say Star Lord's ability, but he's an on reveal. So let's think of like an Angela or a Hope Summers, something like that, where it just says a Red Guardian. No, Red Guardian's an on reveal. a Dracula, something like that simply just has texts. I think his biggest targets are truly going to be ongoing cards. Think about this in Surfer. You have a bunch of 3 costs and Sarah in your Surfer deck, but you don't have Sarah. You weren't able to draw her. So you play Magus, and on turn 5, you just do a full skip, and you copy your Sarah, guaranteed, because she's only 5 cost in your deck. So something like that could be extremely targeted. But again, that application is so narrow, and how long has Sarah Surfer fallen out of the meta? For quite a while. So we'll see. Also, having to skip a whole turn to get that is not great, but we'll see. I was really, really excited for him to be able to copy hammers, right? So you play a hammer, you play Thor, and you skip 0 energy, and you copy the hammer because it's 0 energy, but it can't use an on reveal. So that's kind of a bummer. I don't know. I thought I was going to have a lot more to say about this card when it could copy on reveals, but now that it no longer can, it's basically going to be ongoing, and because of that, I'm giving it 2 out of 3 galaxies. I was considering giving it 1, but I think that maybe that ongoing synergy could have potential. Think about, how good Anti-Venom can be in an ongoing deck. Maybe simply that Surfer Sarah line of a guaranteed Sarah and Sarah Surfer is good enough to give him that second galaxy, but we'll see as I review him in the decks and data in coming weeks if he goes down or he goes up or stays exactly. Like, the 2 is that there is potential for him to exist somewhere, but is extremely narrow and extremely niche and not very good and not very consistent and not very competitive, not very winnable. Is it funnable is another question, but there's something here, maybe the smallest hint of something. Now, both Magus and Star Lord Master of the Sun are Season Pass cards, so if you choose to buy them, you should buy them and earn yourself a Series 5 pack and some borders by buying them on the web shop. That's shop.marvelsnap.com. You need to follow some steps. You need to log into the game during the new season, so your account has registered that it is in the new season. Then, if you really want to be careful, even play a game, but then open the web shop at shop.marvelsnap.com and purchase your season pass, and you'll get a Series 5 pack in addition to some borders and all the other goodies. The other good news is if you win a season pass, which you can on my channel, I give one away every single week. You'll also earn the Series 5 pack extra bonus goodies. Keep in mind that the only thing to purchase that grants this for you is a season pass or the super premium season pass. If you get the season pass in game but then upgrade to the super premium season pass, on the web shop, it will not work. Moving on from that and into the cards that you can purchase in the seasonal Series 5 pack, the first one being released on February 6th, the same day that the season. That is incorrect. This is being released on February 3rd. Sorry, February 3rd. Forgot to update that. But either way, it's Moondragon, a 2-cost 2-power card with an end of turn ability, plus 2 power if you played 1 card this turn and spent all your energy. So both in the OTA that we had earlier this week and in the card design itself, Second Dinner is clearly saying you want to play this in a Doom 2099 deck. If you play this on turn 2 and you play perfectly on curve for the rest of the game, this will be a 12-power card for a 2-drop. That's kind of insane. It's kind of chamber for this Doom 2099 playstyle. Do I think that that's going to be good worth doing? Yeah, I think I do. I think when Doom was buffed, Regis and other people, myself included, I didn't make a video, but Regis had experimented with Doom 2099, and he's not horrible. The problem is that you need some other, like Doom, especially with all his buffs and the power from the Doom bots, he gets to pretty reasonable power that he is usually winning a location on his own. But you need other cards to help you win a location, so you can go the ongoing version that has like Dazzler or Goliath and Captain America, Moonstone, and then you can finish it off with an Iron Man or a Blue Marvel or a Spectrum, right? There's this ongoing version. And then for a while, particularly when Doom 29 was super popular, there was a non-ongoing version that played a lot of Iron Lads and Galacta and Jubilee, like just a lot of cards that were basically digging for Doom. You would play Psylocke, those types of things. So there was like no ongoing synergy. And I'm thinking that maybe a deck like that, Moondragon, could work in, maybe in place of Psylocke. maybe there's going to be a new end of turn version with Doom 2099. Think you'd have to have perfect curve, but you could do Moondragon into Invisible Woman First Steps, or Step Woman, as Peanut Butter Sam calls her, which I think is hilarious. Then Doom 2099, and then Thing First Steps, and then Doctor Doom. And, you know, you played perfectly on curve and you activate Invisible Woman First Steps, and you get, you know, another activate of Moondragon, another activate of Doom, another activate of the Thing First Steps, and, you know, you're off to the races. So I think that an end of turn version of Doom 2099 is going to be possible. I'm giving Moondragon 3 out of 5 galaxies because, for, you know, even outside of this Doom 2099, think about like a rampless ramp deck, just like a big cards, like a Surtur style deck, but not Surtur, but like that type of thing that you're just playing one card per turn and it has good power. You know, a rampless ramp deck. I think Moondragon has potential to be really good in that. The challenging thing is that, is Chamber just better to play in that deck than Moondragon? Because the thing with Chamber, you can play Chamber late to get to, you know, 12, 13 or more power. But Moondragon, on the other end, you have to play her on turn 2. So I think her main place is going to be in Doom 2099. So, you know, I'm limiting her. I think she's good power, especially for her cost. And she's going to, you know, there's one deck out there that really wants her in Doom 2099. So there's potential for her. That's also not like horrible, but it's also very uninteresting to me. I don't like playing one card per turn. I like playing multiple cards. I like doing interesting things. I like adjusting my power locations. Like Ramp and Doom 2099 just aren't my play styles. Nothing against them, but that's not the way that I choose to play Marvel Snap. So from an interesting perspective, you know, she's limited to 3. Maybe she's a 4. I don't know. I'm not convinced that it's like the best thing to be doing, but that could just be my play style. So we'll see. Moving on to the next card, Series 5 being released on February 10th, Drax, Avatar of Life, as a 3-cost, 4-power card, also with an end of turn ability. So you could put him in that Doom 2099 end of turn style deck instead of Invisible Woman First Steps, if you don't want to double up on that, because Drax could help. You know, one of the matchups that Doom 2099 is going to struggle with is, you know, a ramp deck, people playing really big cards. And Drax's ability, as we're about to read here, will deal with that specifically. His end of turn ability is to gain +3 power if your opponent played a card with greater power this turn. It doesn't matter where Drax is or where your opponent plays the cards, as long as they played a card with more power, with greater power than Drax. Drax gains 3 power. Move to that card if you'd be winning its location. So if Drax moving to the location of that higher power card, he will move there, which is huge. Like, he's basically like continually working for you to be a Captain Marvel. Very, very cool card design. And he can get really big. As pointed out in the 4th location YouTube channel, if you don't know 4th locations, from Lauren Whatevs, who does Marvel Snap Math, and then Skosko, who's been writing on Snap.fan for a while. They started a new website. They have a YouTube channel. It's great. But they were reviewing the cards, and what they compared Drax to is he's basically a big 3 that, you know, he doesn't necessarily have a deck that he goes in. He's just like a good, high value, really lane-winning 3-cost that you play when you don't want to play Gladiator, because Gladiator is a high-value 3-cost. But when everybody's playing big cards, you don't want Gladiator pulling their Infinite for them. But if they're playing Infinites, then you do want to play Drax, right? So it's like inverse. Sorry about my phone. It's inverse Gladiator, if that makes sense, which I thought was a really, really smart comparison. I don't think that there's like one specific deck that's really asking for him. I think that he's kind of just going to be like a good 3-cost. Like, you know, can he be the return of like a goods cards deck? Maybe, potentially. I think he's just going to be a strong 3-cost. I'm excited to see what he does. It's a really, really strong effect, as I mentioned earlier, with a Star Lord Master of the Sun, where I think that that's a card that will stick around for a while. Drax is going to be very, very dependent if people are playing big cards. If people aren't playing big cards, then Drax isn't worth playing. But people are playing big cards, which they are, Drax is worth playing. Because of that, I am giving him a 4 out of 5 Galaxy. I think his potential is very, very interesting. I'm struggling to kind of think of like decks synergized around his idea. You know, maybe a bounce style deck. He can help out a bounce deck. I don't know. That he feels maybe he replaces Bishop in bounce decks and he's a better Bishop. I don't know. I'm not totally convinced of that. But I think he's just going to be like a good 3-cost. The interesting thing, and I should have said this earlier, is that like so far all of these are also kind of skippable, because every single one of these, you look at them and you're like, okay, cool, its effect will do something. But, outside of Drax, that I say is going to just be like a good 3-cost, all the others are very specific to a deck. So if you don't play that deck, the card's very skippable, which is a good thing for saving your tokens. Drax, again, is one of those cards that I just think is like also very skippable. Even if he's a 4 out of 5, even if he can go in multiple decks, it's just like a good card. I think it's a card that you still can totally skip, because you don't need this. He feels the least skippable of the cards, and that like he's just going to be the best value and have the most places to play him, and probably the most impactful to your deck. But even with that, you can skip him. But he's still 4 out of 5. Moving on to the next one, we're being released on February 17th. Kraglin, Series 5, who's a 3/3. On reveal, banish the top card of your deck. If it was 4 cost or higher, you get +2 energy next turn. Otherwise, give this +4 power. So he can be pretty good power. You play him in Surfer, he just becomes a 3/7. Which is interesting, but then one of the top cards of your deck was banished. You're banishing one of your cards, and you got to play a big card. It's really interesting to me, and kind of a bummer that this card's ability is to banish the card. Same thing with Moleman. Ares gets to exist just fine. Iron Lad gets to exist just fine and reserve the top card of your deck. But Kraglin or Moleman, they got to banish that card, and it takes what could be 2 kind of interesting cards down quite a bit, simply just because of that banish ability. Like, sure, you play him Surfer. What happens when you banish your Surfer? What happens when you banish your Sarah? What happens when you banish your Captain Carter or your Brood or your Sebastian Shaw? Like, I don't think that banish ability, and this is someone who has a god split on Moleman. I play a lot of Moleman. I love Moleman. The banish ability is more of a downside than people realize. Because of that, I'm giving him a 1. Like, the easiest skip of a card ever. Even if he ends up doing something kind of cool in the deck that he exists in, he's not ever going to be essential in the decks that he exists in. I don't think that, even if someone does something cool with him, it's never going to be that he is like the most central piece to doing that cool thing. The only reason that someone would do something cool with him is because they're trying to do something cool with Kraglin. And that's the only reason. He's just 100% a card that you can skip, and probably one that I am going to skip. Moving on to the final card being released as a Series 5. We have 2 other cards being released in Series 4, but Series 5 is Jack Flag as a 3/3 ongoing. Your cards with increased power have +2 power. So immediately you think of Silver Surfer. Cool. Immediately you think of ongoing. That's what I thought. Like, think of what this can do with Captain America. Think of what this can do with Captain Carter. That Captain Carter interaction is going to be really, really cool. Of course, you'd have to do something to buff the Captain Carter for her to be able to get that. Think about, this card's ability with a Maverick or those types of things. Like, you could do a lot of really, really cool things with this card. I think this is going to be among the coolest cards of the season. I always try to give out a 6 rating to one of the cards of the season, like the one that I'm just most excited about. And I was tempted to give it a Jack Flag, but I settled on 5 for him because I think he's cool. I'm really excited to play the card. Like, this is one of the few cards of the season that I'm actually excited for. I'm really excited to see if I can work him into my ongoing Victoria Hand Moon Girl deck. Something like that. I think that he's going to be a lot of fun to play. Like, I think this card is going to be really, really cool. I'm excited to play the card. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Of any of them being released this season, this is the one that is going to be like the best, if that makes sense. And that it feels like his impact can be long, that it can remain, instead of people just doing the new thing because they're doing the new thing because it's the new card and it's the new thing to do. It feels like, of course, they will do that with Jack Flag, but he will stick around in the decks that he makes sense in. He'll have a significant impact in. I'm excited for him. He's a cool card. Very excited for it. I think, realistically, the best card being released this season. I have a 6-star. Well, spoilers, one of the Series 4 cards being released this season, I'm giving this 6 Galaxies to. but realistically, it probably should go to Jack Flag from like a performance potential. If you want to know if you're interested in variants, the really nice thing is that Vicenci, I don't know how to say his name, who does these amazing variants, is doing the spotlight variants for all of these cards. And as you can see, they look absolutely incredible. The bummer thing is that they're all $20. So if you want some nice art, you're going to have to shell out. The cool thing, though, is that if you get the season pass, you will get the Star Lord variant. If you get the super premium season pass, you will automatically get this Magus variant, which is a great variant for a really bad card. But two of the cards you can see here we have not reviewed yet, Major Victory and Starhawk. Those are the Series 4 cards, so we will come back to them. Before that, I want to share some things with you this season. I will also be live on Saturdays, February 7th, February 21st, and February 28th. If you're interested, going live has been a lot of fun, and I want to continue to do that, so I'll see you there. But now we can move on to the Series 4 cards, with the first one being Major Victory and Grand Arena, happening from February 12th to February 19th. We'll talk about the limited time events here in a second. Right now, we're just going to talk about Major Victory, who is on reveal. He will add 2 members of the Guardians crew to your hand. Those eligible Guardians are the original Guardians of the Galaxy that we have: Star Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Drax, Gamora, and Mantis, believe it or not. So you look at it, and it's just not a very good card. It's slightly different Agent Coulson, and people haven't played Agent Coulson in forever. The best versions of Victoria Hand, where people automatically think this card is going to synergize with, don't play Agent Coulson. They play cheap cards. They cards that they're playing, mole mans, so to speak. Not really, but like they're playing Mirages and the Hoods and Hawkeye Kate Bishops. So the potential to be getting a Gamora or a Drax instead of a Rocket or a Star Lord in a Victoria Hand deck is just a bummer. You want to play low cost decks in Victoria Hand. However, despite that, I'm giving him 6 out of 5 because I love Agent Coulson. Despite people not playing him, I continue to play him. I also have not played Victoria Hand consistently all of last season. I hardly played Victoria Hand, and one of the things I love doing with Victoria Hand, of course, is playing like a meta-dominant one that can perform really well and help me climb on ladder. I love that. Love winning with Victoria Hand. But also one of the reasons I love Victoria Hand is like playing random fun cards. Or like, I like playing Agent Coulson's. Those cards are really fun to play for me, and I haven't played one in a long time. And so simply, like, from a performance ability, Major Victory is like a 2 out of 5. Maybe even a 1 out of 5. He's just really not good. People aren't going to stick around on him. But I like these types of cards, and I'm excited to give myself a reason to play them again, to play an Agent Coulson again, and to play Major Victory. I've also always kind of liked the Guardians of the Galaxy, so it's like the enjoyment of Agent Coulson with the enjoyment of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's cool. I am simply excited to play more of this card. Moving on to the other Series 4 card being released from Sanctum Showdown. Very excited for this game mode coming back. Again, we'll talk about the game modes in a second and the details you need about that. This one from February 26th to March 4th. Starhawk is an on reveal. Add on odd turns, give your cards at the left location +1 power. On even turns, give it to the right location. For whatever reason, if your brain is like mine, you have to keep in mind that he is only doing this once. He isn't switching. So he is only ever giving the power one time. For some reason, I was thinking like, oh, you play him, and on odd turns, he's going to give to the, and like that it would just like continually happen, like it was an end of turn effect or something. It is simply an on reveal. It happens once. It's just if he is revealed on an odd turn or an even turn, where that power goes. Realistically, I think he's a 3. You look at this power, and so he's 2 on his own. Let's say you play him, and the location that he gives power to is full. So he's a 2/6. The +1 power being granted is just so limited. So he could be a 2. The reason that I'm giving him a 3 out of 5 Galaxy is that we have cards like Sebastian Shaw, Captain Carter, Maverick, Scarlet Spider, everything that we've been seeing with Shallow, who really want power given to them. And Starhawk is a fun way to give them power. You just you play them into a specific location, and you just always plan on playing. Let's say you always plan on playing Starhawk on 5, so you play your cards into the left location, knowing that you're going to play Starhawk on 5. Kind of a bummer that now your turn 5 consists of Starhawk and major victory. Like that's your curve now. You have a 2 and a 3. But if you have a Captain Carter over there, or you have, a Maverick over there, that's potentially worth doing, because now you can take this power from Starhawk and reuse it somewhere else. I think that there is something interesting that can be done with him. We're getting him for free in a game mode. I'm excited to cook up some things with him. Realistically, from performance, he is not going to stick around. He is like a 1 out of 5. People are gonna try and do something interesting with him, and then he will be gone. And then when he is gone, nobody's really gonna miss him. Maybe someone who really likes him as a pet card will continue to use him, but he just isn't enough in this synergy heavy meta. He's not gonna do enough to stick around. So for our limited time game modes this season, we have Grand Arena and Sanctum Showdown. As I mentioned, both of them, they both have an event pass, which is 800 gold, so plan your gold accordingly. If you need help or want help planning your gold, I will have my gold planning video I release every season, where I have a spreadsheet that you can use to plan your gold. Helps you know what variants are being released. That will be released later today sometime, so subscribe for that. But as mentioned in the game modes, Major Victory can be unlocked for free in Grand Arena, and Starhawk can be unlocked for free in Sanctum Showdown. With Grand Arena, the champions that are coming back are Iron Man, Rocket Raccoon, and Weapon X from the Pixel version we had recently, and then from previous versions we're having Ghost Spider, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Hulk, and Thor. So there are no new champions. Someone also asked if there are new champion variants for Iron Man, Rocket Raccoon, and Weapon X. No, they will continue to be the Pixel versions. They mentioned that they have new art coming for them, but it wasn't finished in time. Some other things, just schedule-wise, you might be interested in is that we will have a patch on February 10th and an OTA on February 12th and February. New locations coming to the game mode. The Milano, add a member of the Guardians crew to your hand. I imagine it's going to be the same ones from Major Victory. It's going to be Rocket, Star Lord, Groot, Drax, Gamora, Mantis. And then Proscenium, which cards reveal here with +2 power. Kind of cool. Excited for that location. The last few things you might be interested in knowing is that we will have 2 albums released this season. The first one happens at the start of the season. It's Brett Bean from February 3rd and 4th is when the shop takeover is happening. The Strange Supreme is the album reward. Keep in mind, and this is a quote from the blog, grab most of them for 700 gold per variant on February 3rd and 4th. They are all 700 gold. All of these being released are 700 gold. The most of them is because a lot of these have been released previously. This Iron Man has been released previously. This Spider-Punk was released previously. And this this Hulk has been released previously. So Cable, Captain, if you're trying to get these, keep in mind that you're going to be missing some of these variants. If you need help with them, the Iron Man and the Deadpool will both be available later on in the season for $10 each in a web shop recap bundle. So, if you need a Target Iron Man, $10 for that, because they will not be part of the shop takeover as they have been released previously. But Cable, Captain Carter, Deadpool, Goliath, Infinity Ultron, Kahori, Mantis, Spider-Woman, and Vulture will be part of the shop takeover. The other one we have is from Lemon Art. I love Lemon Art. Very excited for this. Drax and Starhawk, I think, are the 2 other cards in this from Snap.fan. In this album, it had like 2 other placeholders, like a Carnage and a Deadpool pixel cards. I'm thinking based on the schedule that it's Drax and Starhawks, but we will see. Anyway, that's happening from February 26th and February 27th. And the card that you can unlock in the album is Jack Flag. I love Lemon Art. I'm excited for these variants, even if, sadly, for the sake of saving my gold, I'm skipping all of them. Maybe I'll get Captain Carter. We'll see. And then lastly, we have some packs coming. We have a Power Couples pack and then a Guardians pack. The Power Couples pack is from February 12th to 18th, and it will include the couples of Wiccan and Hulkling, Kid Omega and Esme Cuckoo, Gambit and Rogue, Black Panther and Storm, Cyclops and Jean Grey, and Vision and Scarlet Witch. So a lot of Series 3 in there. There's a few Series 5 of Kid Omega, Esme Cuckoo, Wiccan, and Hulkling. Yeah, all the others are Series 3 or lower. And then the Guardians pack being released March 24th, or February 24th to March 2nd. Anyway, that is all happening this season. Thanks for watching this ASMR version. And I'll see you in the comments.